Hello crafty beginners, this is Hannah and welcome to my channel. Today I want to share a really short video about a new tool that I've added to my crafting toolkit. This is the StampingPro stamp platform by Sunlit. I added this tool to my toolbox because I like to have basically a backup to everything. I have a Tim Holtz stamping platform, the travel size, and I have the Tim Holtz large size platform. Now his product is no longer available. It had to be withdrawn from the market, as were several others. We Are Memory Keepers and other companies had stamp platforms that for legal reasons they could no longer sell. The thing about those platforms that were taken from the market is that they were reasonably priced. It made this tool accessible to crafters at all economic levels. I am an advocate of not spending more money than you have to support this hobby, because if you get caught up in the trap, it can be very, 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 very expensive. So I'm hoping to catch beginners early on before they start wasting their money, before they start doing a lot of impulse buying. I wish someone had told me that in the beginning, and I kind of wish there had been a roadmap to say start here, go progress to here, and I was just buying, so that's not a good idea. So why I'm sharing this is because this is an affordable platform. It's $24 and some odd cents. I don't remember the exact price, but you can get it on Amazon, and I will put a link down below. I will tell you that I am a participant in the Amazon Associate Program, so if you click on that link, I will get credit. But that's not why I'm directing you there. I'm directing you there simply because I know it's there, I know what the price is, and this is where I bought mine, okay? So if you can find it someplace else and you want to purchase from there, that's fine. But I do think this would be a good value for you. Now, what I love about this product, well, a couple of things. I like that for 24 bucks, it is extremely well made. The base of the product is a heavy molded plastic. It's not a cheap, flimsy product that's going to crack and break on you. On the back, you have your skid resistant padding so that you have a stable surface, and I'm using it on this glass mat, so you really have to want to move this in order to have it shift around. I like the holders, the plastic holders for the magnets. I've actually ordered 2 more sets so that I can use them on my Tim Holtz platforms whenever I use those. If there's one drawback, this ruler is not so easily read, but I never use those rulers, and that doesn't matter to me. I'm not and I'm not that deep into it that I'm doing things that I need to line it up and measure it on my stamping platform. I use my stamping platform strictly for stamping, but I think for people who are creating scenes and doing a lot of masking and things like that, then they probably use this these ruled areas, but I don't, and not in the majority of my stamping. And if I had to use them, I do have my Tim Holtz machines, which have a more defined ruler, but you can read it. It's just, you know, I'm old and my sight is not as good as it was, so it might not be a problem for younger eyes, but I just wanted to point that out. I like the spring-loaded feet here. So you have these two that retract when they're pressed down, and these magnets, you know, attach on there for the back configuration. And then you have on the front, you have 2 spring-loaded feet that so that's what gives you your stamping, and they're elevated, as I said, so that you can use both clear and rubber stamps on this platform. So I want to stamp something. I've stamped this image a couple of times because when you're doing videos, you practice and then something happens. And I try to get it right when I'm doing a video, because when I start editing, my editing skills really need some help. But we'll stamp it again. And this is just a random stamp from one of my sets. Okay, so like any other platform, you position your stamp where you want it to appear on your project. Put it down, put your grid down, press, and it picks up your stamp, and then you just apply your ink. Oops, I got a little impression there because I already had ink on here from, I thought I cleaned the stamp. Apparently I didn't. Okay. And with this platform, as with like the Tim Holtz, you just wipe. You can just use a baby wipe to get any excess ink off of it. And you put it back in place and press, putting a little pressure over the stamp, and there's your image. And like all the other platforms that are out there that are available, if you need more ink, you just apply more ink, put it back in place, and press. And there you go. There's a little shadow there because remember when I put it down, there was an impression from like my stamp where I had previously stamped. But when the person who's doing the stamping does it right, you can see you get a really clear image. And I've stamped it a couple of times just using this machine. Okay, now the other thing I like about this is that it solved a problem for me. And if it were just a one-time thing and this was the first time I'd done it and I never ever do this, then I wouldn't have been so excited. But it isn't. I've done it on numerous occasions. I was working on a project that I'm going to give as a gift to one of my stamping buddies. And I assembled my tag, and then I realized that I had not stamped my sentiment where I wanted it. So that was a problem because this assembly is very thick. I have a lilac circle paper here, then in between there is crafting foam, and then another layer of lilac paper, and then another circular cut piece of white cardstock that I colored, and that was what I was going to stamp my sentiment on. Well, by the time I realized my mistake, everything was glued down and the charm was attached, and I had put a grommet in it. So I was like, oh my goodness. So I put this on my Tim Holtz tool, and I could not get it to work. I was having all kinds of issues. So I said, well, the new machine just came today, this new stamping platform. So let me see, maybe I can figure out a way to use that one. And sure enough, I did. I put the two little magnets in between that space and positioned my stamp just as I did with the stamp that we just used in that example, and put this in place, and I just pressed down, and I was so pleased. I was so happy because I didn't want to have to try to recreate this tag. I'm not sure that I ever want to try and recreate this tag other than for the video that I'm going to do on this project. So there's the impression that I got, even with the craft foam being there and the thick configuration. It gave me a beautiful, beautiful impression. So it's a good machine. It's a good machine. It will do everything that you need it to do. Like I said, I can't think of anything you would need to do with a stamping platform that would justify paying $100 for one or $69 for one. It's a real simple thing that you're doing. You're applying ink to paper. It's not rocket science, and I don't really see the point in having to spend a whole lot of money, and particularly in the beginning. Now, once you get further into your crafting, and if you discover that you're one of those crafting geniuses and you just need a $100 tool in order to stamp your sentiments on your cards, then you can go out and buy some of the other products that are out there. But for right now, as a beginner, I think if you invest $24 in this product, you will find yourself being very, very happy with what you're able to do with it. Okay, so that's that for this. I am going to, for those of you who are watching the beginner series, we did one project in episode 1. We're getting geared up for episode 2, and we are going to, this is the project that we're going to create. And even though I had said that we were going to stick with like the basic A2 card, and we will, I just thought with Mother's Day coming up, and with graduations, even though they're not graduation ceremonies, you can still send people fun stuff in the mail. So I thought it would be fun to just take a little bit of a detour. Just to take a little bit of a detour and make something else. So this is the project that we'll do in episode 2, and I hope you will join us to make it. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. This